There's something sacred about a piggy bank when you're a kid. It's not just a ceramic figure with a coin slot. It's a temple. A silent, heavy vault where dreams are stored in jingling pieces of copper, silver, and crisp bills that still smell like a factory floor. Mine was no ordinary piggy bank. It was a gift from my grandfather, a thick hand-painted porcelain elephant with a coin slot carved into its back and a small, rusted key that locked its steel underbelly. It looked whimsical, almost childish, but what no one knew, not even my parents, was that this elephant held every cent I had ever earned or received since I was 9. Birthdays, report card rewards, Christmas gifts from distant aunts, lemonade stand profits, tutoring money, garage sale hustle, odd jobs, all of it. I never spent recklessly. I didn't have the need to impress anyone. While my friends blew their cash on new phones and video games, I quietly slid mine into the elephant year after year. It became a ritual, a religion. At night, I'd unlock the bottom, count the bills in silence, and write the new total in a notebook I kept tucked under my mattress. I wasn't saving for something trivial. I had plans, real plans, college tuition maybe, a used car, or my dream business, a small online design studio I'd been building in secret, already doing client work under a fake name at 15. By the time I turned 17, the number inside my notebook read $23, 478, 31. Every cent earned. Every cent real. I still remember the day I lost it all like a slow-motion car crash. It was a Friday. I had stayed late at school for a scholarship prep session. When I got home, I noticed something strange. My bedroom door was slightly ajar. I always kept it locked, always. My stomach tightened. I stepped in and immediately knew something was wrong. The corner where the elephant piggy bank had always stood, behind the bookshelf under an old blanket, was empty. Not just empty, shattered. Porcelain shards littered the floor. Some of the hand-painted patterns I once loved were smeared in dull, gray dust. It was like seeing a friend's body broken on the pavement. The air in my lungs turned to glass. I stormed down the stairs, heart slamming like a war drum, only to find my father at the kitchen table, casually scrolling through his phone. My sister, Melanie, sat across from him, grinning like she'd just won a prize. "Where's my piggy bank?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. My dad didn't even look up. "Gone, gone." My throat went dry. "What do you mean, gone?" Melanie rolled her eyes. "You're being dramatic." I stared at my father, blood draining from my face. "Where is it, the money? Where is my money?" He finally met my eyes. Cold, unapologetic. "I gave it to your sister." Everything stopped. "You what?" "She needed it more than you. She's got real responsibilities now. Rent, bills, adult things. You're still just a kid saving up for who knows what." I felt my body sink into itself. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. The world tilted sideways. "That wasn't your money." He leaned back, arms crossed. "It was in my house, in my roof. Don't get dramatic. Family supports each other." "But I earned that every single dollar. You'll earn more," he snapped. Melanie's trying to get her life together, be a team player. A team player, like this was some kind of game. I looked at Melanie. She didn't even try to hide it, the smirk, the smug tilt of her head. She didn't say thank you. She didn't even look guilty. She just said, "You've always been so uptight about money. It's weird, honestly. Maybe this will teach you to lighten up." That's when I walked out. No screaming, no slamming doors, just walked numb to my room. I stepped over the broken pieces of my elephant, crouched down, and picked up one of the larger shards. The painted eye was still intact, wide, innocent, betrayed. I sat on the floor for hours. Over the next few days, they acted like it never happened. No apology, no remorse. Dinner was served. Chores were assigned. Life for them continued like normal. But something inside me shifted. The thread that held my family together in my mind, respect, trust, fairness, snapped. I wasn't their son or brother anymore. I was a bank account with legs. They didn't see it, but I changed in those days. I stopped talking. I smiled when spoken to. I played the obedient child. But every moment alone, every silence, was filled with the weight of one thought. They don't deserve to get away with this. I used to think that betrayal came with fireworks. Raised voices, tears, slammed doors and broken plates. But when the people you love betray you quietly without shame, without regret, it hurts more. Because it makes you question if they ever loved you at all. After the piggy bank was smashed and my $23, 478 vanished, life inside our house didn't erupt like a soap opera. It went cold, muted, numb, like everyone had simply decided that my feelings were an overreaction. To them, it was over. To me, it had just begun. The first few days I didn't talk much. Not out of rebellion, but because I genuinely didn't know how to speak anymore. Every word I wanted to say got stuck behind the lump in my throat. My father treated me like nothing had happened. He'd ask how was school, like he hadn't just shattered years of trust. I'd nod, shrug, say fine. My sister, Melanie, strutted around the house with a new phone. A new pair of designer sneakers, manicured nails that sparkled like blood diamonds. She didn't even bother being subtle. I once overheard her on a call bragging to a friend, "Yeah, my dad hooked me up. I needed the cash, so he gave me what my little brother had stashed. It's not like he was using it." She laughed. I stood outside her door, fists clenched, nails digging into my palms until I felt skin break. That night, I deleted every childhood photo I had of her. I buried the birthday cards, the handmade drawings, the best sibling, notes from when we were kids. I wasn't grieving a betrayal, I was burying a sister. My mother tried to play mediator. She came into my room once, sat at the edge of my bed, and said softly, "Your dad meant well. Your sister was in a tough place." I didn't respond. I know it seems unfair, but sometimes families have to make sacrifices. I looked her straight in the eye and asked, "Would you have taken it if it was yours?" Her face faltered. She never brought it up again. What they didn't realize was that by pretending it didn't matter, they made it matter even more. The lie wasn't just in the theft, it was in the casual cruelty, the idea that my pain was inconvenient, an overreaction, something to get over. I didn't scream. I didn't throw a tantrum. That would have made it easier for them to dismiss me. Instead, I turned silent. Strategic. I studied harder. I picked up more freelance design gigs, clients from Reddit, Discord, small e-commerce stores. I started reselling electronics on the side. Bought broken laptops, fixed them, flipped them. I turned my old Instagram into a portfolio and began building a quiet, steady brand. No more piggy banks. Everything went into a private digital wallet, an offshore savings account under a legal alias I'd set up using Fiverr and a lawyer bot. They thought they'd broken me. All they did was make me smarter. A few months later, I found out something that would fuel the fire even more. Melanie had told everyone that I offered the money, that I had too much, and didn't mind helping her out. I overheard this at a family gathering. An uncle said, "That was really mature of you, giving Melanie your savings. Most kids your age aren't that selfless." I nearly choked on my drink. I pulled him aside and told him the truth. He didn't believe me. "They said you volunteered." He insisted. That was the moment I realized. They weren't just thieves, they were liars. They didn't just take my money. They rewrote the story, made me the fool, the doormat, the naive little brother too kind to say no. It was brilliant, in a twisted way. And that's when I decided this wouldn't be about money anymore. This was war. I started watching them. Melanie had no concept of value. She spent like she was on a timer. High-end clothes, luxury beauty products, gym memberships she never used. Her Instagram became a highlight reel of clout, chasing garbage, sponsored posts that weren't really sponsored, flexing credit cards that didn't belong to her, pretending to live a lifestyle she hadn't earned. Meanwhile, my father was dipping into debt. I overheard a phone call with a bank rep. He was behind on his credit cards. Turns out, bailing out Melanie had dried up more than just my savings. He started making side hustles, Uber, tutoring. The man who once mocked me for working too hard was now stretched thin, bitter, and always tired. Melanie didn't care. She kept asking for more, and I watched silent, smiling. They thought they'd taken everything from me. But what they really gave me was fuel. They taught me how far people will go to protect a lie. They taught me that family isn't sacred, it's earned. And most importantly, they taught me never to show my cards until I've already won the game. I wasn't out for revenge yet. Not yet, but I was getting ready. And when the moment came, I'd burn their world without ever lighting a match. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be messy. It doesn't even have to look like revenge. Sometimes it's a smile, a perfectly timed silence, a door you don't open when they come knocking. After they took my $23,478, I went quiet, but in the silence I was building. They thought I was sulking. They thought I was broken. They had no idea. The year I turned 18, I officially stopped being their child. Not legally, I still lived under their roof, ate their food, sat at the same dinner table, but emotionally, I was done, detached, a ghost living in his own house. They had lost the right to know me. I didn't tell them about the small business I was building. I didn't tell them that my freelance income was now triple what my dad made driving Uber part-time. I didn't tell them I was investing, learning crypto, reading every finance book I could get my hands on. I stayed quiet. I let them believe I was still the same obedient kid they'd robbed. Let them feel safe. Because only a fool strikes before the enemy forgets they were ever hurt. My sister, Melanie, was the opposite of silent. She burned through that money faster than I imagined. The clothes, the night outs, the traveling, the influencers she tried to befriend, the business she started, some half-baked makeup line that barely lasted 2 months before crashing. I watched as she fell for fake marketing gurus and pyramid schemes, bought into manifesting wealth, while ignoring the simple truth that she didn't know how to work. She asked Dad for more money. At first he gave what he could, but his own finances had started to rot from the inside. Credit card debt, second mortgage, his savings gone, all to support a daughter who treated financial responsibility like a bad vibe. One night, I overheard them fighting in the kitchen. "Melanie, you said you'd help me. You said family supports each other. Dad, I already gave you 20 grand. Melanie, that wasn't yours. Dad, what do you want me to do? I'm tapped out. Melanie, maybe if you didn't waste money on your stupid car." I almost laughed. Almost. The hypocrisy was delicious. The same people who preached family loyalty were now turning on each other. Good. Meanwhile, I moved in silence. I launched my first real business, a digital agency, web design, branding, e-commerce setup. Small businesses paid me well. My work was clean, modern, reliable. I hired 2 freelancers overseas to scale, got my own LLC, paid taxes, built business credit. By 19, I had a 5-figure emergency fund, passive income from a few niche sites, a growing investment portfolio, and the confidence that I was never going to need anyone's help again. They had stolen my money, but I had stolen something back, my independence, my power, and then an opportunity fell right into my lap. One of my agency clients was a local property developer, small time but ambitious. He mentioned over coffee that one of the homes in our neighborhood was in pre-foreclosure. Beautiful place, family can't keep up with mortgage payments. Kids probably drained them, he said, laughing. He gave me the address. I didn't laugh. It was my house. It took every ounce of restraint not to explode with satisfaction. My father, who once justified stealing my savings by saying, "You'll earn more someday," had drowned in his own debts. And now the bank was circling, hungry. I had the savings, I had the credit, I had the legal know-how. So I did something that no one saw coming. I bought the mortgage. Through a shell company I quietly set up, I purchased the debt. It was legal, clean, quiet. One day, a letter came in the mail. My father opened it, scanned it, and went pale. I watched him read it 5 times. Notice of mortgage assumption and servicer change. The letter didn't have my name on it, only the company name. He had no idea. He walked around like a man drowning in air. He asked my mom what it meant. She didn't know. He called the mortgage company. They confirmed the loan had been transferred. Now he wasn't paying the bank. He was paying me, and I let him. For 6 months, I collected those checks. I made sure the terms were fair. I didn't raise the payments. I didn't abuse the power, but I made sure he felt the pressure. Because control is more satisfying than chaos. During that time, Melanie's life crumbled. Her fake influencer world dried up. Her credit cards maxed out. She started borrowing from friends, then burning those bridges one by one. She tried getting a job, but her resume was empty. She begged Dad to sign a loan. He refused. Eventually, she came to me. I was in the kitchen, making coffee, when she walked in. "Hey," she said, voice soft, "can we talk?" I sipped my coffee. Sure. She sat at the table, fidgeting. It was the first time I'd seen her unsure of herself in years. "I'm kind of in a tight spot," she began. "I made some mistakes, and I'm trying to get back on track. I need some help." I waited. I thought maybe you could loan me some money, just for a few months. I tilted my head. "Why me?" She hesitated. "Because you've always been good with money, and I know you've been doing stuff online." I smiled. "Just a little," she noticed. Her face flushed. "Look, I know what happened with the piggy bank was messed up, okay? I didn't ask Dad to do that. He did, and I didn't realize how much it meant to you. Now that was a lie, but I didn't call her on it. I just said, let me think about it. I didn't give her the money. But I gave her a list of free financial literacy resources, budgeting tools, a spreadsheet I'd built myself. I thought you wanted to help," she said, disgusted. "I am," I replied, handing her the paper, "just not the way you expected." She stormed off. Later that night, I sat in bed. The same notebook I once used to track every dollar in my piggy bank open beside me. At the top of the page I wrote, "You can't put a price on dignity, but revenge that cost me exactly $23,478, and it was worth every penny. Revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes the sweetest kind is when you rise so far above the people who hurt you, they have no choice but to look up at you from the wreckage they created. And sometimes, just sometimes, you get the chance to let them know exactly who made it all happen." 6 months after I took over the mortgage, things started to spiral. For them, not for me. My father had to pick up a second job. He looked older, thinner, the stress finally catching up with the bravado. My mother stopped asking me how I was. I think deep down, she knew something had shifted in me, something permanent. And Melanie, she was evicted from her apartment. Her bank accounts were frozen due to unpaid debt. Her fake friends ghosted her. Her ex-boyfriend leaked screenshots of her begging him for money, then threatening to expose him when he said no. It was a slow collapse, humiliating, public, and entirely self-inflicted. I just watched. I never lifted a finger. I didn't need to. Then, one afternoon, it happened. My father knocked on my door. The man who once looked me in the eyes and said, "You'll earn more someday," now stood there hollow-eyed and hesitant. "Can we talk?" I stepped aside. He sat on my desk chair while I leaned against the wall. He looked around, probably noticing, for the first time, the dual monitors, the branded invoices on my whiteboard, the sleek minimal office setup that screamed success. He cleared his throat. "We're in trouble. The mortgage holder just sent a notice. They're raising the interest next cycle. I don't know how I'm going to make the payments." I crossed my arms. "That's rough," he sighed. "I don't know what to do. I've been trying, really, but I just can't keep up anymore." There was a long pause. Then he said the words I never expected. "I'm sorry for what I did with the piggy bank. I thought I was doing the right thing at the time. I just wanted to help your sister." I stared at him. "No anger, no sympathy, just clarity. You didn't help her," I said. "You crippled her, you rewarded bad behavior. You took from the one person who never asked for anything because I made it easy for you." He looked down. "Silent, you know what hurts the most?" I asked. "It wasn't the money. It was the way none of you apologized. You made me feel like I was wrong for being hurt." He opened his mouth to say something, but I held up my hand. "Don't bother. I don't need the apology anymore." I walked over to my desk, pulled open a drawer, and handed him a thin envelope. He opened it. His eyes scanned the document, then widened. This is the mortgage company." "No," I said. "That's my company. I bought the mortgage. I own this house. I've owned it for the past 6 months." He looked up at me like he didn't recognize me. "I paid you every month," he whispered. "You did. You let me." "Yes, I did." He stood up, visibly shaking. "Why would you do that?" I gave a small, calm smile. "Because now you understand how it feels to give and get nothing in return, to be powerless in your own home, to rely on someone who pretends to care but really just wants control." His mouth opened again, but this time he had no words. Later that night, Melanie came home. She had heard from my father. She stormed into my room, face red. "You think this makes you some kind of hero? You're a psycho who does that to their own family." I looked at her and saw everything clearly now. "Entitlement, narcissism, denial. I'm not a hero," I said, "but I am finally free." She sneered. "You think you're better than us now. I don't have to think it." She slapped the doorframe and walked out, muttering something about how money changes people. Maybe it does. But if it changed me, it was only to protect myself from people like her. 3 weeks later, I moved out. Bought my own place. No warning, no fanfare, just gone. I left the mortgage under a rent-to-own agreement with my parents. They didn't know the terms were more generous than they deserved. But I didn't do it for them. I did it for me. To walk away without bitterness. My business grew, my portfolio exploded. I was speaking at webinars, clients doubled. I got invited to closed Discord groups of high-level entrepreneurs, people who built themselves from nothing, just like I had. And one day, while looking at the shattered remains of my old ceramic elephant, which I'd kept tucked in a box in my closet, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. Just clean, free, complete. A year later, I got a letter. It was from my father. "Your mother and I have decided to sell the house. We're moving to a smaller place. Thought you'd want to know. Also, I saw your company on the news last week. You've done well for yourself. What it's worth, I'm proud of you, Dad." I folded the letter neatly, put it in the box with the broken piggy bank and the last page of my old savings notebook. On it was written, $23, $478, 31 stolen. I crossed it out and wrote underneath, $0 owed. Epilogue, I never told them everything. Not about the second business, not about the passive income, not about the silent investments I made in companies my father once mocked. Not about how I'd quietly funded the same scholarship program I was once denied because I wasn't needy enough. They never needed to know. Because the truth is, they were never the point. The revenge was never about hurting them. It was about proving to myself that I didn't need them, their approval, their love, their excuses, to become everything they never imagined I could be.